Everyone in the palace was whispering, from the servants to the cooks. The Duke brought a child with him and it was big news. Upon arrival, he held her in his arms all the time. There were rumors among the servants that the girl had black hair. Was the Duke having an affair? With such a beautiful face, it is impossible to be single, but this beautiful face spoils the creepy look. However, the little Duchess is not afraid of him. She just ran in and introduced herself to the staff. Leonie Boreati. She's so cute. Kara, the head of the staff, called one of the maids to her. She offered the girl to become the Duchess's personal maid. The maid's name was Connie. She agreed. She was also warned that Leonie suffered a lot and needed to be more attentive to the girl. It was obvious how skinny the child was. The baby has such big eyes. The Duke was in his office, doing yumags. Kara burst in and started to get indignant. She said the Duke adopted the girl on a whim, which is too irresponsible. He looked out the window. The baby was having fun in the snow, so joyful. His actions look like the child is like a kitten to him. Like a pet, Kara continued, who was brought in for games. Felio looked at her. He is not stupid and understands everything. They faced displeased glances. One of the employees said it was more important to know if the baby was really the Duke's own daughter. The fact is that only members of the Boreati family have such a rich shade of hair. Rumors will spread quickly, and people will begin to hypothesize that the child was born to Felio. The Duke ordered to make sure that his daughter gained weight. Kara asked what he was going to do. It's a stupid question, he's going to raise a girl and it's not up for discussion. The head of the staff said that it was necessary to calm down those who spread rumors. She invited several merchants to buy things for Leonie. She asked another question, but Felio was no longer listening to her. The little Duchess runs everywhere, as if she has spent her whole life in this house. He told the staff to leave everything as it is. Mélèse wanted to object, but the gentleman glared at her. She only added that people might start insulting Leonie behind his back. People are cruel, it won't be difficult for them to make an outcast out of a girl and say nasty things about her. But it immediately became clear that no one would dare to fatten the baby, unless they wanted to die a painful death. They'll just kill the traitors. If the Duke comes across such a man, Felio will honor him by bathing his sword in his blood. The followers bowed. Manus came in. He said that the squad was waiting in the hall. The long-awaited guests have arrived. The old maid greeted the mistress and asked if she was having fun. Leonie was delighted with the snow games in the yard. It was as if she was drowning in it every time she took a step. She was offered to ask the servants to clear the paths, but the girl said that this was not necessary. Next time she will make a huge snowman. One of the waiters of the palace offered the baby to refresh herself, since she had a lot of fun. She was offered focaccia from the chef. This is an Italian wheat tortilla. Leonie was delighted with the food in the palace, the food is simply delicious. The staff was pleased with the lady's appetite. A knight entered the hall. It was Mélèse's sister, the girl joyfully ran into her arms. She said it was very exciting to explore the mansion. The knight said that she shouldn't be called sister, but Leonie has already got used to it. Of course, it is not appropriate for the lady of the house of Boreati to address one of her knights so courteously. But Mélèse worked so hard to take this place. The knight kissed the little lady's hand. She also said that the father was looking for his daughter. Leonie tensed, but the knight calmed her down. The girl will like it. They came to Madame Leonier's apartment. Everything glittered and sparkled. The girl was shocked, what the hell is this? She looks so much like a duke. Felio said that when you receive a gift, you should thank, not yell. In return for a new room, he had a request. He wanted Leonie to do something nice at least once a day. It infuriated her. If she refuses, it will mean that her father is not raising her well.
Hey!
He gently poked her forehead with his finger. When will she start calling him dad? The Duke asked her to extend her hand to him. He gave the girl a strawberry candy. This is her reward. He will give Leonia gifts every time she behaves sweetly. It turned out that Meles was tense because unwanted guests had arrived at the castle. The girl didn't like them because they bullied Ms. Leonia. The master asked to bring his daughter downstairs, but the knight is worried that if the little lady sees them again, it might hurt the baby. Downstairs, Felio and Rupi were already deciding what to do with the orphanage workers. It turned out that the orphanage burned down. They were informed that as a result of the fire, all the people who were inside died. Although only those who were now brought to the palace should have died. The fire was fatal for the children and their teacher, Miss Connie. They should have come to the duchy too, if they had survived. The squad could have saved the children and the woman if they had arrived at the shelter a little earlier. The Duke looked at the guests with a murderous look and they began to shake with horror. The Boreati have always been the dominant force of the north, they caused awe even in the royal family. There are many reasons, but one of them stands out in particular. An animal's fawn. The aura of a swordsman can only be comprehended by those who have honed their fighting skills to incredible heights. The foundation of magic is mana. The beastly fawn is unlike any of these. Suddenly, Madame Leonier's scream was heard nearby. The knight Meles brought her. The girl ran to her father, but he asked her to be careful. She was the fastest runner in the orphanage. Felio was serious, because the girl often ran away from the orphanage, which was dangerous. But she only ran away from the fact that teachers and educators were always trying to beat her up. She noticed the director and the others, and Rupi. The counselor greeted the lady, he was pleased to see Leonie. She boasted that she had eaten and slept well, and he, in turn, praised the girl. Suddenly, the voice of the director of the orphanage was heard. He called Duchess Nia, the name she hated. All the guests screamed how glad they were to see her. The director began to remember the day the girl came to their orphanage. She was as tiny as a mouse. Felio said that these people had come to the lady. Being her father, he has a duty to take care of them. She probably would have liked to talk to them before that. How the Duke will help them get on the right path. She thought about it. Why should she forgive them? The guests froze in fear. The girl called them crazy assholes talking nonsense. Leonie took off her beautiful red boot and happily said, "Have a happy time of torture." The teacher who pinched the girl's hands every day. One of them boasted about hitting children with a belt. Someone was spending the shelter's funds on personal affairs. They should have lived honestly. The director is right, he and Leonie have so many memories in common. So why did he bully children? Adults should take care of them, not maim them. But they didn't care, why did the director do such a thing? Felio was watching what was happening. And, by the way, the girl added. A child's boot fell on the director's head. Leonie opened the box. It's a gift for the guests, Requiem. Rupi was whispering to Kara. After all, Leonie is not the daughter of a duke. Those black hair and character. The girl was not going to let the guests go. She wished them to go to hell to the most evil devils. The guards began to take people away. The duke handed his daughter a piece of candy. But she wasn't doing anything nice, was she? She did. She acted like Boreati. They seemed to be getting closer every day. The servants cheered and clapped. They admired the Duchess of Leonie. Everyone was amazed. It seems that Rupi was the only one who was not affected by this situation. Felio was carrying his daughter down the hall. She said he was obliged to kill the director and watch slowly. But the Duke would not have acted so wastefully. And where did the baby get such thoughts from? Obviously, from the orphanage. She had an idea. You need to throw a rope over the teachers and throw them off the cliff. Then they will fly down and fall until the girl abruptly pulls the cable. And then there will be a bang. Well thought out, said the Duke, there is just a suitable cliff nearby. Leonie was so excited about the planning. They even wrapped their little fingers around each other. Rupi was amazed. Stop. Maybe. Kara noticed the resemblance of the little Duchess to Mrs. Regina. But Rupi would rather believe that Leonie is the daughter of Monsieur Feliot. When they first met, the child's behavior was completely normal for a street kid. She didn't look like Mrs. Regina at all. But now anyone who looks at the baby will immediately think that this is the very favorite of Boreati. The same thoughts came up at the sight of that woman. Although they look completely different. Mrs. Regina is dead. One day, when the duchy's territories were flooded by torrential rains, Lady Regina escaped. She ran away with the man she loved. Rupi personally examined the carriage in which the woman was. The carriage was demolished by a mountain mudflow on the day of the escape. The fact is that the bodies have not been found. If those two survived then and left the Boreati lands. The Duke was taking a bath. I wonder how Leonie found out what requiem is. Even the children of the nobility of her age do not know such words. Considering that the girl has lived in the orphanage for 5 years, she has an excellent vocabulary. Maybe she's a genius. The Duke was met by an advisor. It seems Rupi entered without asking. The counselor said he had a conversation. And anyway, while the Duke is cooling off here, he is doing the work of the master. Feliot's eyes flashed. Rupi apologized. Suddenly there was a knock, and Leonier's voice was outside the door. It seems his lordship is still taking a bath, the maid said. She saw the servants preparing the bathhouse. Leonie asked if the Duke's sister was afraid. The girl replied that Duke Boreati was the ruler of the north. He is the strongest man in the world. So it's okay to be afraid. Moreover, it is natural for servants. Feliot listened, Rupi was silent. It turns out that the Duke is so kind to his daughter because she is dear to him. The Duke smiled softly. And what if the father stays single because of the girl? No, the maid reassured, the gentleman is very popular among women. But one beautiful face is not enough, you need to do something about his terrible character. The counselor tried to hold back his laughter. The girl and the little mistress were giggling. The door burst open with a bang. An interesting picture, Feliot is half naked, and the counselor is on the couch. It's not what she thinks. She was wrong. Does he really look like that kind of man? It's not a sin to love, the girl began to chatter, even if it's love for a man. She definitely misunderstood everything. Feliot was sure that he would not lose popularity because he had a child. The girl started looking in different directions, trying to come up with something. The Duke took her in his arms. What muscles! He got dressed. The little girl snorted, she had spent so much energy just contemplating beauty. So why did Leonie come to him? She was going to give him a cookie for doing such a good job in the dungeon. She and the chef baked these cookies. When they first met, Feliot gave her candy. She decided to repay him in kind. So she baked them using ingredients bought with his money. The girl began to squeak. If he's not going to eat them, let him give them back. But he didn't say he wouldn't eat them. He was joking. And, he added, his money is her money too, because she is his daughter. They seem to have forgotten about Rupi's presence. The girl and the maid left. The Duke began to eat cookies. The counselor said it was about Ms. Leonie.